Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session of eNishchit, the national initiative to strengthen collaboration between HIV and TB through e-learning. And today I welcome all my ART centers from Delhi, UP, and West Bengal. And I can also see some centers from the southern part of India, and welcome to all of them. I welcome our director, Dr. R.K. Diwan, who has who has logged into the session. And I also welcome Dr. Kalpana Datta, who's the program director and senior professor in Medical College, Kolkata. She is the program director of the Pediatric Center of Excellence for HIV. And ever since, I think I have seen her for years and years in the HIV program, giving us direction about pediatric cases. As we all know, pediatric cases, whether HIV, whether non-HIV, are a challenge for a medical officer because our trainings in pediatrics are a bit limited. And so we are always, we sort of like to treat them as little adults, but as the pediatricians say, they are not little adults. We have to have certain specific knowledge about them. And for this reason, today we have Dr. Amreshwar with us from the Vizag ART Center. And he will be presenting a very, very interesting case of a pediatric HIV patient, a child living with HIV, a CLHIV. I welcome you, Dr. Amreshwar.
So there's this case, it's a female and the age is 5 years, 2 months. And the reason for case presentation is that Dr. Asapu wants to know the preferred and alternate ART regimes for CLHIVs co-infected with TB, HIV, and dose adjustments of ATT. So the child was initiated on ART with regime with AL and LPV as per the weight band, weighing 4 kg. And since the day of initiation, the CLHIV was LFU for 4 years. And she did not use the ART regime prescribed for any duration and presented with cough and shortness of breath and was admitted in pediatric ward KGH Vizag in July 2021. Child was investigated further and was diagnosed with miliary TB, and her father came to ART center on 17 July and informed regarding the admission of child with miliary TB and gradual deterioration of the condition of the child. As the child was diagnosed with TB on admission, the regime prescribed cannot be continued with previous regime as protease inhibitors have drug interactions with rifampicin. ALE as a weight was 10 kg at the time of admission and was recommended along with ATT. But the prescribed regime was also not used by the child. Unfortunately, the child expired on 22nd July as informed by the father. The mother of the CLHIV was diagnosed positive at the time of delivery and initiated the ART at TUMI ART center, but did not use medication and expired after 2 years of delivery due to gradual deterioration of health as per the information provided by father of CLHIV. Child along with father and mother were tracked back many times but couldn't retrieve them on ART as they are illiterate and belong to tribal areas. So ma'am, this was the case. And there are a few other details. CD4 count at ART initiation was 52. That is 21st of February 2017. This is the only CD4 count that has been given, and hemoglobin is 12.5. The TLC was 3100. That again is in 2017. Yeah, that is it now. Over to you.
So could you please read out the issues for discussion also, Anuradha?
Right, I'll do that. So the issues for discussions are: what could be the preferred ART regime for this case along with ATT regime? When rifabutin availability is concerned, then what could be the best alternative option to be used along with 4-FTC? Dose adjustment in case if additional ritonavir booster dose recommended along with ALR. As the child is malnourished, if weight reduces to 9 kg, efavirenz option is lost in that particular scenario. What could be the other regime suggested along with HRZD? How to adjust additional ritonavir booster dosage based on the weight and age in pediatric HIV-TB case. These are the 5 issues that have been flagged.
So thank you very much, Anuradha. And I would just summarize the case for the benefit of the house. So KGH Vizag ART Center with the medical officer, Dr. Amreshwar, they have sent in a case of a 5-year-old child, a female child, who was 10 kgs only at the age of 5 years when they saw the child. See, so what they are basically telling us about is that this child was first registered in February 2017 when the child was a 9-month-old baby. Now, this 9-month-old baby was 4 kgs at that time. And as per weight band, the child was advised abacavir, lamivudine, lopinavir, ritonavir combination. But the child went LFU after this initial visit and they did not take ART. Another interesting thing is that what they say is that their counselor was able to track them again and again. They were contactable again and again, but they refused to come to care. And the reason that they tell us is because they were from a tribal area. So this is another thing that needs to be, this is another issue that actually needs to be flagged here, that tribal populations are marginalized populations, and delivering any kind of care to these people is actually very difficult under the national programs. And that is where we need to work more and more with the help of probably NGOs and local representatives to take our services to them. Because any number of services that we may create into the country, if they're not reaching the marginalized population, the pool of infection and the ongoing deaths will keep on happening, as has happened in the case of this child. This child now comes back 4 years later when she's almost 5-year-old. And this time the child is very sick. She is 4S positive and she is diagnosed with miliary TB. She is admitted to the medical college pediatrics ward. The father came and informed the ART center that yes, this child was once registered for you. Now we have brought the child in a sick state and she has been advised ATT. But for some reason, even ATT could not be started, and 5 days later, the child died. The child obviously did not get an opportunity for ART, and even ATT also, it was just probably a day or two. So this is a very, very important case. This is actually elaborating everything that could go wrong, even with services being available in the center, if we do not reach our peripheral populations. Now, Dr. Amreshwar has highlighted several important issues. Now, these important issues would be dealt with by our expert, Dr. Kalpana Datta. And can I please invite her to present her didactic on pediatric TB in children living with HIV and enlighten us and resolve the issues that the ART Center has brought up. Welcome, Dr. Kalpana Datta.
Ma'am, kindly unmute yourself, Kalpana ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Upashana, for your kind introduction and very clear and concise sum of the case. So it is a very important, there are many issues in this case, which we have just now heard from the medical officer. There are a few issues which I will be highlighting later on after my presentation. So let me share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. You can just go to the presentation mode.
Yes.
Right, ma'am. Perfect.
So I'll be talking on HIV/TB in children, especially in particularly in children, is not in adolescent group, and in a concise way. So what is the difference in adult tuberculosis and pediatric tuberculosis, especially in the suffering from HIV/2? So there are big difference. So I'll discuss what is the objective of my session. To understand the dynamics of HIV/TB co-infection in children, know the TB screening protocol to be followed in ART center, learn the revised diagnostic algorithm for TB in child living with HIV, prescribe daily antitubercular drugs with ART, and learn ART regime to be prescribed or modified in case of HIV/TB co-infection. So pediatric TB is a direct consequence of adult TB. That's why there is an importance of a history of taking contact. And always, because adult TB is a multivascular, they can expectorate the sputum, AB is there in the sputum. So they get the infection from the adult TB, not from the another pediatric TB. Because in the pediatric TB, they can't expectorate, they don't have a sputum. Whatever sputum will come, even after expectoration, they wish to swallow, and it is easily possible. increasing the level of co-infection with TB and HIV infection in children. Childhood TB, the severe malnutrition and HIV infection contribute the increased mortality. Because HIV itself is an immunodeficiency disease, and the severe malnutrition also causes severe immunodeficiency. So in severe malnutrition, we call NAIDS, nutritionally acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, and so there will be when both together, it will further precipitate the immunity, decrease the immunity, and that will lead to the increased mortality if this baby suffers from childhood tuberculosis. Infection of HIV is a strong risk factor for progression from infection to the active disease. So TB control activities has started, and now we don't say the RNTCP, we say it is tuberculosis elimination program. So what are the TB control activities taking place in the world and in the children? If you see 2018 witnessed 10 million cases of TB globally, and in 8.6 only in the African countries, among which 11% is contributed by the children. Here I mean to say the children less than 15 years. And if you see the HIV tuberculosis death, it is about 1.6 million deaths, and out of which 1.2 million is HIV negative, and rest there's 0.4 million are due to the HIV along with the HIV. So additional 251,000 deaths from the TB and the HIV disease. So it's a huge lot number of increased mortality due to the presence of comorbidity. Globally, 57% cases are among the men and the children. Male-female ratio is close to 1. If you see the ratio here, the red and blue, they're close to 1. Two-third burden in the ethical. So our country, the India, China, Indonesia, Philippines, Pakistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh, and South Africa. These 8 countries contribute more than 75% of the tuberculosis in the world. Now we see this the bar diagram. So this is the black outline is the total number of estimated cases, and the red constitutes the female percentage, and the male adult is the male. So if you see as you go, there is a huge number of estimated number of tuberculosis, but diagnosed case, the white blank sides, both sides is the this is a bar chart, and you see the black diagram, and the red is representing the female percentage of patient, and the blue is the male. If you see the percentage of cases is more or less equal, but you see the black white percentage, white space, blank space in the black bar chart. You see, as you go down, the number of percentage of this white portion is increased. Why so? Because we are unable to detect those persons. Though they are positive, it is not possible to diagnose, and they are roaming in our society. The case detection gap, if you see, in the older ages, as you go from all other ages, is a 65% detection, 35% is still missed. But if you see in the 5 to 14 years, 60% reported, and if you see the 51 less than 5 years, is 31 cases has been diagnosed. So 69% is missed. So this is as you go down from the adult to the younger age group, more and more cases are missed due to various reasons. So overall, 55% of estimated children with TB, if you include up to 14 years, it is only 55%. But if you exclude that, only 5 years, it is never 70% we are missing out. So there's a huge detection gap in the under 5 group. So why so? Children are the not miniature the adult, as Dr. Upashanaf is nicely explained. Childhood TB is entirely different than the adult TB, and you should have some idea about the childhood TB. So it is a different challenges in the type of disease, and more in the diagnosis also, and treatment modalities. Children in families with TB have often double disadvantage, because higher risk of infection and disease, and increased vulnerability due to disease or death of the caregiver, because the baby has received the infection from the adult, and this adult is a caregiver for the baby. So if the caregiver is sick, or if there's a death in the caregiver, so the rearing of the child will be also of a question. Need a separate focal point and involvement of pediatricians along the TB and public health. Roadmap to end TB has to be inclusive of children. What we is to do in all over the world First, we make a guide. We see the incidence, disease pattern, and everything in the adult. We make a guideline in the adult. Then we extrapolate the data, the guidelines from the adult for the pediatrics. That's why we are having so much of failure. Pediatrics needs a separate guideline and distinctive guideline. So underdiagnosis and underreporting TB is a challenge in pediatrics. Child-specific diagnosis management are needed as a part of the TB care. Just as the children are not miniature adult, neither is TB is a children in miniature adult TB. So adult TB and pediatric TB is entirely different in the presentation, in the complication, and the management. Challenge is to train the pediatric healthcare providers with up-to-date standard guidelines. So this is a very big challenge. Work with the doctors, healthcare staffs, and the medical officers, nursing staffs, and the other workers who are dealing with the pediatric patients. They should be trained for tackling the pediatric disease. TB diagnostic and management is witnessing a rapid evolution and progress. We have seen for the last few years, the rapid change in the diagnostic modality and treatment part. Need to integrate the TB care more effectively with the child survival strategies. So where do we miss children with the TB? Dr. Anuradha has asked me to speak in Hindi. So if I speak in English, is it a problem or you speak in Hindi or no? Hello, Dr. Anuradha.
Ma'am, it is not a problem to speak in English at all, but you can also speak in day-to-day, like English, जिसको बोलते हैं. Day-to-day language में भी बोल सकते हैं because we have all.
ठीक है, no problem. So TB control program is, this is the all things programmatic issue. Program is organized with the adult case mind, as I said. जो भी गाइडलाइन बनता है बड़ों के लिए बनता है, बड़ों के डिजीज एंड पैटर्न देख के, इन्फेक्शन का कोर्स देख के, देन देयर इज अ ड्रग ट्रायल और ऑलवेज इन द एडल्ट, देन वी एक्सट्रापोलेट, उधर से वो डाटा लेके हम लोग बच्चों को गाइडलाइन में फिट करना चाहते हैं, बट दैट शुड नॉट बी देयर. वी शुड हैव अ सेपरेट गाइडलाइन फॉर द पीडियाट्रिक्स. Difference in the disease and its diagnosis among the adult and children cases is schism. Well, the bacteriology to radiology. First, we do this CVNAT, we see the microbacteria, then we go for the radiology. But in pediatrics, what we do the radiology, X-ray, and the suggestive X-ray, then we go for the bacteriology. Because there are many cases where the baby are prone to develop pneumonia. Other than tuberculosis, बच्चों का काफी pneumonia होता है, जो कि उन दूसरे organism से भी हो सकता है. So all like we have a guideline in 4S symptom. Any fever, any cough, they should suspect and investigate for the TB. But हमारे TRG में भी discuss हुआ है, हम लोग now going to come in the guideline also कि हर cough and हर fever in case of a pediatric, if you are going to investigate, it will over investigate and it will be overburden for the medical officers. Because बच्चों का काफी ज्यादा respiratory tract infection होता है, and the change in weather में ज्यादा होता है, and that may not be tuberculosis. So the most important part is not gaining weight or losing weight, but cough of any duration might be misleading. But for the protocol point of view, for the programmatic point of view, we have to have some guideline. उस guideline के वजह से हम लोग रखे हैं कि any duration of cough or any duration fever, but you will get every 2 months babies having cough and fever due to viral fever, due to bacterial pneumonia, due to diarrhea, due to skin infection, and आप TB के लिए investigate कर रहे हैं. So this is a just misuse of the resources. So there's a guideline is going to come. The medical officer, they look for the other causes of cough and fever. Suppose baby is having गला दर्द है, खांसी हो रही है, कान में दर्द है, so it is upper respiratory. It's not lower respiratory. In lower respiratory, then you don't have to go for the tuberculosis investigation. इस तरह एक fever है, by protocol fever of any duration, you will send the patient for tuberculosis investigation. But baby is having diarrhea, so even diarrhea baby can have a fever. So that's why the medical officer will judge the child. He will look, take the hit or thorough history or thorough examination. Then he will decide whether baby needs investigation. So if there's, as I've seen, that TB is quite common in pediatrics and usually takes from the adult. And if there's a co-infection, what will happen? Both TB can hasten the disease progression in HIV and other opportunistic infections. Similarly, also increase the mortality also. Similarly, HIV also can increase the progression of the disease, TB, more likely to have a resistant disease, more likely to have extrapulmonary disease, and can have a drug-resistant tuberculosis. If you see this bar chart, if you see HIV negative, then lifetime chances of acquiring TB is 10% only. That means हम लोग सबको कभी ना कहीं exposure हुआ है, but we are not having, all are not having disease, because the disease depends upon the body immunity, infective dose, and the host, the virulence of the organism. ये तीन आपस में इंटरप्ले करते हैं, and if the virulence of the organism, infective dose high, disease होता है. If the body immunity is high, then we can contain the infection. It's not going to lead to disease. So हमारे first होता है, first step of tuberculosis is the exposure, then infection, then disease. So PPD positive means there is an infection, not the disease. And in case of HIV, patient is having HIV, वो convert हो जाता है. 60% chances कि lifetime में कभी न कभी इसको TB होने का chance बढ़ जाता है. So what are the 4-pronged strategy of HIV-TB combination to reduce the mortality? It's the prevention, early detection, prompt treatment, and management of specialty cases. The prevention is the, the IPT, the ionized prophylaxis therapy is the preventive measures. Then, of course, airborne infection control, because the mode of transmission, we have to curtail the mode of transmission, that is the airborne. So, airborne infection control to be taken, and awareness generation. It's very important. The awareness generation, that means the health education. Health education for the caregivers, health education for health providers, health education for the community. Now, early detection of HIV-TB, 100% coverage of provided initiative HIV testing and counseling TB patients. We know all TB patients must have a HIV testing, all HIV patients must be screened for the TB. Rapid diagnostic kits, we are there in our hand now, so we can go for the testing. And intensive case finding activities at all HIV sitting in all visit in all centers like forest screening. Then after the diagnosis, you don't delay for the initiation of drug for this and that, prompt initiation of treatment, and the early initiation of therapy. And if there is a difficult case, if the severe malnutrition, complications like in this particular patient that have been presented today, having severe malnutrition, and severe malnutrition is one of the emergency. I'll discuss a bit about that, and it may lead to more complication in pregnant ladies, and if they did drug-resistant tuberculosis. So need to screen all HIV patients for TB each and every visit at the center. And we know the all TB patients must be investigated for HIV. So if there is TB infection, then chances of having, as I've already said, to acquire the disease turns into infection, turns into the disease is quite high. If living in an endemic area, children, family with the HIV positive patient, overcrowding, air pollution, and other toxic pollution like tobacco and all. Source case is the cavitary disease, smear positive disease, that means infectivity is quite high. The chances of AB in the sputum is quite high. Cough frequency, cough height is not maintained. Delay in treatment by adult case, so it's going to be resistant or produce much more multibacillary AB in the sputum, that will increase the chances of infection. And contact with the cases, it is close contact and duration of contact. And that turned into disease from infection to disease. So first exposure was there, exposure हुआ, वो infection होगा, infection के बाद then disease, then complication, then of course the death. So infection के बाद किस का chances ज़्यादा होता है disease होने का, especially the younger the child, less than 2 years, they are very much as by physiology they are immunocompromised. They don't need to have HIV or malnutrition to be immunocompromised because they are in growing phase. इसका immune system बन रहा है, अभी तक immune system mature नहीं हुआ है, so they are as such immunocompromised. Moreover, if they are HIV positive, so further immunocompromised, and if over and above, if there is a malnourished, उसके और ज़्यादा immunity घट जाता है. इन लोगों का disease होने का chances काफी ज़्यादा है. HIV risk, infection, risk of infection and disease. If the HIV is there, then also with the exposed babies, we have seen there are many studies. The HIV exposed babies also have increased risk from the not exposed babies. And the HIV, the risk of tuberculosis is quite high, even HIV positive babies, HIV exposed babies as compared to HIV non-exposed. Other immunosuppression in patients, as I said, malnutrition. One of the most important aspects you have to look for in the each and every visit in for the pediatric patient is the malnutrition, growth and nutrition. And post-measles. Again, the post-measles, there's a one important point is there. Each and every visit, whenever we get the history of fever, we must ask the history of rash. The rash with fever, that may be measles, may not be measles. And we know that NACO, that is one of the important program going on in our country. Similarly, the measles surveillance program is going on in our country, and we should help for the measles surveillance. So any children, if the history of a fever with rash within last 3 months, it must be notified to the center. So from the SMO, the surveillance medical officer will come and they will test whether it is measles or something else or rubella, whatever it is. And measles is one of the diseases which can cause severe immunosuppression even in well-nourished child. If well-nourished child is जिसको हम खसरा बोलते हैं हिंदी में, इसको खसरा होने से उसका further immunity घट जाता है. And measles also causes GI infection and pneumonia. उसका pneumonia, respiratory tract infection बढ़ जाता है, gut infection बढ़ जाता है. इसके वजह से further malnutrition होता है, and that will rapidly progress the HIV to death. Not BCG vaccinated. BCG vaccine is not that robust कि ये disease prevent करे, but BCG vaccine देने से severity is less. You might not have a biliary mottling, you might not have tuberculosis, disseminate tuberculosis can contain it in the lung or the local area, lymph node and all. So BCG must be given for each and every newborn. I'll discuss about the vaccination later because BCG is not given about 1 year. And of course, if you want to give, because Government of India says you can give the BCG up to 1 year if you miss in the newborn period. But before, while at 1 year, we're going to give the BCG, you must see the immune status and baby's positivity status, whether baby is exposed only negative or positive. If positive, what is the CD4%? If CD4% quite good, then only can give, otherwise don't give the BCG. So this is the course of the disease as such. As I already said, there's a source case, means that there's the exposure. From the exposure, there may be infection, but there may not be infection, depending on all the immunity, the infective dose and the host races. Then if it is no infection is there, in infection, then it may go into the progression of the disease, or maybe in the private, it may be the dormant bacilli, it will be there in the lung, and there will be, that is called persistent latent infection, and when the opportunistic time will come, when suppose a baby is exposed to tuberculosis bacilli, then there is an infection. But the immunity is quite good, CD4 is quite high, baby is not malnourished. What will happen? That infection may be contained as a latent bacilli in the lung, and as soon as there is exposure to the measles infection or immunosuppression or whooping cough or severe malnutrition, that will again there will be reactivation of disease and can cause progressive primary disease. Similarly, if there is infection at that moment, if there is a HIV positive child, not exposed child, CD4 low, severe malnutrition, that will progress to primary disease. And one thing, tuberculosis can happen even the high CD4 count. So it all depends on the body immunity also and nutritional status. Then there will be primary disease that may be smear positive depending on the age group of the child, smear negative, extrapulmonary or pulmonary. So this is in the lung. If this is in the lung, that is called the primary focus during lymphangitis and lymphadenitis. तीनों को मिला के हम लोग bones complex बोलते हैं. If it is in the lung only, if it is outside the lung, we say primary complex. But in the bones focus, during lymphangitis, hilar lymphadenopathy is leading to the bones complex, and that may again, as I said, it may progress to the disease or may contain in the there, and there may be natural healing or maybe due to disease they may treated, it may be healing, but the reactivation is quite high if there's a natural healing. So this regional lymph nodes can trace and different. I am not going in detail. वो lymph nodes say in the lung, there's a lymph node in the paratracheal lymph nodes or parabronchial lymph nodes. It can have a local symptoms, can place in the local surrounding areas, or it can block the bronchus, that is called endobronchial tuberculosis. Sometimes it can block the bronchus, can have the consolidation, or there may be a partial blocking, then can have valvular emphysema. There will be emphysema changes beyond the block, or there may be consolidation, pneumonia, effusion, and all. And if there's a blockage of, if there's involvement in the pulmonary vessels, then there may be a rupture and can lead to the miliary TB and dissemination of TB. So symptoms complex and tuberculosis in children with HIV. In adolescent is as good as an adult. So, but in children, it is there are two things different. A current cough of any duration. Here again, I have already said the current cough of any duration, though in the protocol is there in the programmatic issue, but you must look for the other causes of cough. It may be psychogenic cough, it may be upper respiratory cough, it may be due to viral infection. So you just see the cough is white. And the fever, again, fever may be any damn thing in the children, any viral fever. Every 2 months there is seasonal changes, and child can have fever if they are allergic to seasonal changes and all. So we rule out the cause of other causes of fever, then you go for the investigation for tuberculosis. Then poor weight gain. This is the most important marker for tuberculosis, poor weight gain and contact with the tuberculosis. What do you mean by contact of tuberculosis? When a child is having a contact with the adult person, mind it, the adult person suffering from tuberculosis or has suffered from tuberculosis in the last 2 years. It's very important. और 2 साल के बीच में कोई एडल्ट का ट्यूबरकुलोसिस हुआ, उसके कांटेक्ट में कोई बच्चा रेगुलर कांटेक्ट में आया, in a minute of 2 is not that, regular contact में आया, that may be the family members, that may be the homemade, that may be the driver, that may be the tutor, that may be the gardener, that may be the playmate, that may be the class teacher, home tutor, any बड़े आदमी जो घर में रेगुलर आते जाते हैं या घर में रहते हैं, had tuberculosis or suffering from tuberculosis. Now there might be question. 2 years back, the person was having tuberculosis and finished the ATT in the 6 months. तो घर वाले क्या बोलेंगे? नहीं घर में किसी का टीबी नहीं हुआ है, बट यू हैव टू आस्क 2 साल के बीच में हुआ है कि नहीं, क्योंकि वो तो कंसीडर करेंगे 1.5 साल पहले ठीक हो गया है, they won't say any tuberculosis, but we have to ask. And this is evidence based. The guideline, the definition has been taken from the evidence based. It has been seen in the last 2, if there is a tuberculosis in the family in the 2 years, it's 90% chances can have within 2 years thereafter it die out, and there is little chances of having tuberculosis after. So it's very important to ask the history of contact. And then poor weight gain. This is also very important. Of course, poor weight gain is very common in pediatrics because of the recurrent diarrhea, recurrent pneumonia, not eating well, fussy eaters. So you have to take the detailed history, and even as if you see the guideline on going to change, in case of severe malnutrition, you have to treat the child with the nutritional therapy, and baby is not gaining weight, you must suspect tuberculosis. So the poor weight gain, fever, cough, and these things are very crucial term. You have to be very judicious for taking the history. So if there is a forest symptom plus, as I said, medical officer on duty at the ART center will look for the other causes ruled out. Then they will investigate for the TB. If positive, then TB treatment. If not TB, then it's follow up. And if there's another case, you have diagnosed it for the other cause, then it may be give the appropriate treatment for that patient. But please put on the IPT. That is an ionized prophylactic therapy. All children must be put on IPT if they are not suffering from tuberculosis and with HIV. But below 12 months, I'll talk about the 12 months separately. Below 12 months, until and unless mother is suffering from tuberculosis or any healthcare person or any contact of tuberculosis, you must rule out the tuberculosis in the child. And below 12 months, then only can give the IPT. And of course, when you want to give the IPT, see if there's a contraindication or not, because you know IPT, INH can cause hepatitis, peripheral neuropathy, rashes and all. So see any side effects, hypersensitivity. If there's no hypersensitivity, no hepatitis, no peripheral neuropathy, then you give the IPT about 12 months. So we have done the intensified case finding. Now TB suspected. We have suspected the baby is having a fever or definitely there's no explainable cause. There's a cough, no explainable cause. The weight, poor weight gain, or anything, any for or an and. So one symptoms will be there. Then also you have to investigate. Then you have suspected the pulmonary TB. Then do this CVNet and X-ray. And X-ray, if X-ray is not suggestive, if having a clear X-ray and CVNet is negative, because it's very difficult to collect this sputum for the child. So CVNet, if possible, the pulmonary TB, then you have to collect the sputum anyway, if you either diet coughing out or by induced sputum or by gastric levers. Diet coughing out, again, you have to take the precaution. You have to collect it in a separate room where you have taken all the PPE and your own protection, and then ask the baby to cough out and collect it and send it in the Falcon tube for the CVNet. But if in case of induced sputum, you just give a nebulization of 3% normal saline. But 3% normal saline can cause bronchospasm. So इसके लिए आपको पहले nebulization with the bronchodilator. You have to give the bronchodilator like salbutamol. Nebulize करने के बाद 3% initial देने से it irritates the respiratory tract, and that will initiate the cough mechanism. So baby will cough out and then you collect. Sometimes what happens after giving the nebulization and normal saline, baby coughs out, but they don't cough it out. They used to swallow it. So even after that, we used to say you can collect this gastric lavage. So after induced sputum, we can collect the gastric lavage. Or other way, you have to collect the gastric lavage. Gastric lavage ke liye, it's better to admit the patient. If younger age, you ask the patient to get admitted, and he will sleep at night. रात को सो जाएगा. सुबह बिस्तर छोड़ने के पहले, in empty stomach before getting up from the bed, you have to collect the stomach was. With no secretion coming out, you can give the normal saline out 2 ml and all, then again suck it. क्योंकि आप बच्चा जब बिस्तर से उठ जाएंगे, there will be increased peristalsis, and whatever in the gut will go down, and baby will have a toilet and pass it. So the chances of negativity will be quite low if baby is getting up from the bed. So night में जो रहेंगे, सुबह early in the morning, बिस्तर से उठने पहले आपको you have to collect the gastric lavage, and then you send it to the center for CBNet. Then you see the X-ray. X-ray suggestive or not, CBNet positive or not. If you can go for the sputum culture also, AB smear and culture. So if positive, you can say the microbiologically positive TB. So if it is positive in CBNet or in case of culture smear, consider the microbiologically positive TB. If CBNet is negative, X-ray is suggestive. What are the suggestive X-ray? I'll show you. It may be a hilar lymphadenopathy, it may be thick wall cavity in the upper lobe, it may be pleural fissure, it may be miliary motility. These are the highly suggestive tuberculosis. But mind it, in case of HIV, there may be dissemination, there may be atypical presentation. I'll show a few pictures of my own experience from my colleagues on how can they present in a different way. So you suspect on that basis. Then if you suggest it is a clinically diagnosed TB. If both are negative, then you treat for the other infection, give antibiotic which are not acting on the tuberculosis specimen. Like you don't give the linezolid and ciprofloxacin, you give the amoxicillin and treat it for 2 weeks and repeat the X-ray and you follow up and you see whether the lesion is resolved or not. If extrapulmonary TB suspected, then you see what is there, the lymph node or gut or any swelling. Even I have seen one skin tuberculosis recently. So you just extrapulmonary site, you can take it to the either if the lymph node, you can take the aspiration, can send it for the CBNet, or if the tissue biopsy, then also you have to crush it in CBNet center where you are sending for the CBNet. There may be some machine which can crush it and can do it the CBNet for that tissues and can see the AB genetic material. Or you can go for the cytological histopathological examination. You can see the typical tuberculosis granuloma, Plagius necrosis. You can suspect with the suggestion of tuberculosis. So then that may be the extrapulmonary tuberculosis. Or you can take the help of sometimes radiology or there's like X-ray or CT depending on the site. It may be pleural effusion, it may be gut tuberculosis, it may be you have to do the CSF in case of tuberculosis meningitis and can send the investigations, and that those are extrapulmonary tuberculosis. So the microbiological diagnosis is most important. The sample, the specimen is very important, to collection of a specimen. And this is the difference with the adult. In the adult, you very easily can collect the sputum. But in children, the getting sputum, whether you are collecting the sputum or saliva, that is also. If you ask the parents to collect the sputum, you will see they have collected the saliva. So it's very important to differentiate whether it is the sputum or saliva and whether they can expectorate out or not. Because up to 6 years, they cannot expectorate. Of course, it also depends on the maturity level of the child also. So it varies from age to age, but it's really 6 years, don't get expectoration. So खांसना means वो खांस के बलगम निकाल नहीं सकता. They used to swallow. वो निकल जाते हैं. उसके पेट में, so that's why you have to collect it in gastric aspirate. Or you can do, as I said, induced sputum or any other specimen if you can collect from the extrapulmonary side. Then go for the testing, microbiological testing like smear, culture, or CBNet, or when it's necessary, you can go for the LP, like for the. So HIV-TB co-infection is common in 50% of children. So HIV is there, 50% out of 2 children, every alternate children can have tuberculosis. Extrapulmonary and mini-TB are common in the younger children. Clinical features are basically, as I said, fever, cough, failure, weight loss, COVID. Extrapulmonary, lymph nodes, The commonest one extrapyramidal, the lymph node, then CNS TB, bone TB, TB of serosal layers, or disseminated TB. So these are the some clinical presentations. You see, severe malnutrition, 10 years old child, hardly 14 kg. See, severe failure to thrive. Always rule out the disease itself, the HIV disease itself that cause the malnutrition, but you must rule out tuberculosis. There's the axillary lymph nodes are there, bilateral axillary lymph node. You can see the cervical lymph nodes. You can see the hilar lymph nodes. If it's not possible, you can go over the CT scan and you can see the mediastinal lymph nodes. This is the hilar lymph nodes. So this is coming to primary TB. Now we can see this is another lymph nodes, vertical lymph nodes. There's a consolidation. There's a primary complex. Then there's a consolidation. You see, there's a this is a trachea, then bronchus. You see the bronchus, it's going up, but there's some straightening of the bronchus. So if you are not getting similar picture bilaterally, you must suspect there's some lymph node, pretracheal lymph node, which pressing the bronchus and can go for the endoscopy or other CT, and you can see the lymph node. So this is progressive primary tuberculosis. This is the cavity formation, equal cavity. This is characteristic of tuberculosis, and we along with the consolidation. This is also cavity with the consolidation. And this is another case. It's a very unusual presentation. This is the swelling the back, and the resident presented to me as a lipoma. They said, "Madam, there's a lipoma. इसमें देखिए पेट पे 8 days से है." So the duration was very surprising. In 8 days में lipoma कैसे इतना बड़ा हो जाएगा? I said, "No, it's not lipoma. Go for the chest X-ray, and it is a polypsis." You see the X-ray. This is same per patient, and there's a effusion and consolidation with the polypsis. Similarly, this patient come with the no complaint, only the gibbous. The mother had a history of tuberculosis for 4 months. She stopped off her home because she is coming from a very remote place in the jungle mahal of West Bengal. So she stopped, and as soon as I saw the child and I did the MRI, if you see, there is compression of the vertebra. So there may be very difficult to diagnose in TB in children because there may be some overlapping symptoms are there. Many pneumonias, many diseases can mimic tuberculosis, pulmonary tuberculosis in children. So there's overlapping symptoms, chronic pulmonary symptom due to HIV-related disease, due to other conditions, due to other opportunistic infection, like due to other system disease like gastroesophageal reflux disease, bronchiectasis can mimic like a tuberculosis. Even the radiological picture also can mimic like a tuberculosis. Weight loss, failure to thrive, as I said, maybe there are many causes of weight loss and failure to thrive. So that's why there's a huge gap in detecting the tuberculosis in children. Again, the radiology interpretation is difficult if you are not very crucial in judging the site, because all the time you are not going to get the radiologist. So if you are there in the center, the technicians are doing radiology X-ray and will send it by X-ray plate. So very important to interpret the radiological evidences. HIV patient have an active TB proven and sputum culture can have a normal chest. So we have seen the chest X is normal, but it was present in the positive. Recently, I have a patient presented with a very acute presentation. Only 7 days present, 7 years old child presented with a cough, fever, chest pain. Typical bacterial pneumonia. 7 years old, it can without any complaint, well nourished child. So we started giving the antibiotic. Even after 10 days of antibiotic, there some relief, but it was not improved. So we went for the sputum, CVNAT, Mantoux, everything, but it was negative. But there was no improvement, so we decided to go for the bronchoalveolar lavage and CVNAT. We did the bronchoalveolar lavage and CVNAT. It was positive, sensitive, positive pulmonary tuberculosis, and we gave the treatment, and now the baby is cured. So there are some condition where if you don't get the sputum, we can go for the bronchoalveolar lavage if the facility is there. Treatment, there's a recent change in guidelines, and we know in the HIV TB we give the daily treatment at par with the National Tuberculosis Elimination Program guideline, standard regime, and the pyridoxine supplementation is given. Response to therapy is difficult to ascertain because of HIV and other things. And it is a HIV TB, it is a stage 3-4, so you have to add the cotonosyl prophylaxis. early initiation of ART within 2 to 8 years of starting TB treatment. And if the CD4 is less than 50, within 2 weeks. This is till now, this is the guideline. But guideline is going to come. अभी new guideline आ रहा है जिसमें WHO 2020 में भी आ गया है. You have to at any situation you have to start ART within 2 weeks of ATT. तो पहले हम लोग का था कि दो ATT खिला देने के बाद we see is there any tolerance क्या है कि नहीं, any side effects है कि नहीं, and they have tolerated the anti-tubercular drug. Then you start between the 2 weeks to 2 months ART. और CD4 less than 50, then only early initiation. But नया guideline जो आ रहा है उसमें any condition irrespective of CD4 count आपको 2 हफ्ते के अंदर ही ART शुरू करना है. Immune reconstitution inflammatory syndrome may occur especially once ART started. So this is again a peculiar thing, especially in pediatrics. It may be unmasking iris or paradoxical iris. Paradoxical iris means there is an iris. आप टीबी का एक पल्मोनरी कंसल्टेशन था, आपने टीबी का दवा दिया. After 7 to 10 days, you will see suddenly baby started having cough, respiratory distress, hypoxic. If you do the X-ray, उसमें देखें कि आपका lymph node का size बढ़ गया है, consolidation का size बढ़ गया. That is called paradoxical. So what do you expect? That is just opposite of your expectation. That is paradoxical. Or sometimes unmasking. Unmasking means जो छुपा हुआ था उसको निकालना. That is unmasking. Hidden thing. So if you give the ATD, thereafter starting this ART, there may be a sudden appearance of neck glands, which was not there previously. पहले आपके पास चेस्ट में निमोनिया था, आपने ATD दिया, ART शुरू किया, देखेंगे कि गले का cervical lymph nodes, axial lymph nodes increase, and that is called unmasking iris. So this type का iris आप expect कर सकते हैं, but there's no need of tension. You just go on giving the treatment, continue the treatment, and sometimes the severe obstruction is there or any other effusion developed and all, then or distress is developed much more, then you may add the steroid. The standard duration therapy is 6 months, followed by 6 months of INS preventive therapy. Any child who was treated for tuberculosis for 6 months, that as you stop the anti-tuberculosis treatment, start the IPT, that is INS prophylaxis. So drug induction is very common because हम लोग जानते हैं inflammation is enzyme inducer. So ARTs are there that may be metabolized and the blood level is not maintained. So dose घट जा रहा है. In case of protease inhibitors also reducing the so the therapeutic level get जाएगा. So it won't act inappropriately with the HIV patient. So you have to have a modification of the drugs. There may be कुछ ART है हमारा जो hepatotoxic है, साथ में हम लोग ART दे रहे हैं, ATT दे रहे हैं, वो लोग INA, rifampicin, pyrogen, they are also hepatotoxic, so there may increase hepatotoxicity. But we are lucky enough in pediatrics, the side effects due to drugs are very rare. Tolerance is quite high in pediatric case. Increase incidence of adverse effects, possible development of iris as I already said, and of course the high pill count. वो ART ले रहा है, ATT ले रहा है, pyroxine खा रहे हैं, और इधर आपको कोट्राक्सोमोक्सोजोल. So उसके पिल से ही पेट भर जा रहा है, खाना कब खाएगा? So this is a very challenging task for the pediatricians for rearing up the pediatric patients. Now, time of ART regulation, the initiation, as I said, it is still 2 weeks to 2 months, but the recent guideline is going to be changed. It should be within 2 weeks, and you have to start appropriate ART. Now they divide the age group and body weight. Till now, जो हमारे अभी चल रहा है, going to change after few months. Age less than 6 years, less than 20 kg. The first line of drug we know, Avaquil, Lamivudine, and Lopinavir. And this particular patient, 6 साल के नीचे and 20 किलो के नीचे यदि आप ATT दे रहे हैं, जो AL/LPVR खा रहा है, उसको आप क्या करना है? ना Lopinavir ritonavir ratio जो 4:1 था, उसको 1:1 करना है. There is one question over here, how to adjust. So if you have another separate tablet, because 25 milligram ritonavir dry powder is not available, even the 100 milligram is also there's a scarcity and not available. हमको वहाँ से 75 milligram tablet लेना है, because we have to make 100 to 1:1. So 1:1 is very difficult practically. It becomes 1:1 and not exactly 1:1 if you add the ritonavir separately. So there's one option, you can add ritonavir separately with एबेक्विल lamivudine लोपिनेविर रिटर्नविर जो खा रहे हैं उसके साथ अलग अलग से रिटर्नविर ऐड करके लोपिनेविर रिटर्नविर का रेशियो 1:1 कर। If the patient is 6 साल से बड़ा, 10 साल से छोटा है, 20 to 30 kg के बीच में है, तो we have in our guideline we can use dolutegravir, abacavir, lamivudine, dolutegravir, and if when you are starting ATD, another dose of dolutegravir 12 hours apart. I didn't write the BD dose. BD नहीं लिखना है, 12 घंटे के बाद जब भी खा रहे हैं, सुबह ALD खा रहे हैं, जब भी खा रहे हैं, उसके बाद dolutegravir का separation होगी 12 hours. If more than 10 साल का है, more than 30 kg, then there's no change as in the adult. TLD and another additional tablet at 12 hours. That's it. Here again, now I said there's what are the other options as the questions were there? What are the other options of ART? Suppose Ritonavir nahi mil raha hai because it's not available everywhere. Even in our centers also there is some problem to get the separate Ritonavir to make it 1:1 ratio. Then what can you do? As you know, the baby is 3 years above 10 kg, above 3 years you can add Ifevinase. So Ifevinase you can have ALE with the ATT. But there's a question also, if the baby is less than 10 kg, then what do we do? We are not going to use the Ifevinase less than 10 kg. Then there is the option, you can give the triple NRT. Triple provided that if you are using Zidovudine, the hemoglobin is normal, you can give the triple NRT. Or there's another option, you can give the Abacavir, Lamivudine, and Nevirapine. Nevirapine can be given, but it is it's a hepatotoxic. So you have to see the liver enzymes and 30% extra dose. So whatever the dose is there, 30% of the extra dose according to the body surface area, you have to add extra 30% with the weight band. So Abacavir, Lamivudine, Nevirapine plus 30% Nevirapine. Extra dose you have to add. And you have to monitor, rigorous monitoring about the hepatotoxicity. Now we are having dolutegravir in our hand. And I think today is the only, we have a meeting on launching a dolutegravir 10 milligram after this session from 3 p.m. So I hope very soon we are getting dolutegravir 10 milligram. Then we can add dolutegravir, even dolutegravir is indicated even below 6 years and 20 kg. Then only above 4 weeks and above weight 3 kg. So more than 3 kg ka ho, 1 mahine ke zyada ho bacha, we can use the dolutegravir, and that will be very nice thing to have dolutegravir in our hand. And if the dolutegravir is there 10 milligram, so hum log de sakte hain in a band way, 0.5, then 1.5, then 2.2, then 2.5, up to 6 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20 kg. So there's a weight band. And you can give the because 10 milligrams is going to launch, so we can have half tap, then 1.5 is 3 tap, then 4 tap, and 2.5. So 10 mg, so half tap, then 15 mg, so 1.5 tap, then 2 tap is 20, and 2.5 is 25 milligrams. Below 6 years and below 20 kg. And then you have to, if when you are adding ATD, you have to add another tablet of the same weight, same dose, 12 hours apart. So I talked about the iris. Now, neonate born to the mother with the TB. There's a few words about this. Mother has active TB when baby is born. It may be pulmonary, it may be extrapulmonary. And if baby is having congenital TB, always look at liver because it's from the placenta baby gets infection. So liver will be first affected, then the other organs will be affected. But if it is a perinatal TB or neonatal TB, that may be the pulmonary TB. So mother has completed treatment but was having disease with carrying this baby. Neonate exposed to a healthcare worker with the contact of pulmonary TB. So there are 3 situations where baby can, a newborn can be contact with the HIV TB, tuberculosis, and you have to give the prophylaxis. So examination, vital, you have to see the baby, and you have to rule out the active disease. Any site like organomegaly, chest, CNS, everything you have to see, examine, rule out the active TB, and then you put on the baby with the prophylaxis. So if mother has any form of active TB detected in pregnancy or after birth, if exposed to any infectious case of TB after birth. So there are 2 situations. So rule out active TB, then put out INH preventive therapy only, that is 10 milligram per kg body with pyridoxine 10 milligram for all children, all infants up to 6 months. No isolation. If the required, if mother's or the have suffering with tuberculosis, baby is negative, or baby is suffering with mother is negative, there should not be any isolation. No isolation is required. Only the cough etiquette, respiratory etiquette should be maintained. Baby is on IPT, then separation is not required. Consideration need to seek mother's health care. Mother's cough hygiene and etiquette are important. Mother not adhering to treatment. In fact, INH हम लोग नहीं देंगे कब mother is suffering from recent tuberculosis, not a recombination sensitive tuberculosis. Multi-drug or extended drug resistant tuberculosis, then we are not going to give INH to the baby. Breastfeeding is safe and should be continued. So mother का TB होने से भी बच्चे के TB होने से we can continue the breastfeeding as usual in the non-TB cases. So mother active TB, breastfeeding देंगे कि नहीं, सेपरेट करेंगे, बच्चों को अलग रखेंगे कि नहीं, INS profile से देंगे कि नहीं, BCG देखेंगे. There are 3-4 questions comes in our mind whenever the mother is suffering TB. You see, mother is active TB, mother is contact positive TB, mother is completed TB, mother with active disease with extra pulmonary TB. All the disease, any duration, any form of disease, any type of disease, you continue breastfeeding. Never stop breastfeeding. No separation is required except in case of drug resistant. There, mother can give express breast milk, or you have to give the breast. All the cases, you have to give INS profile access to the child after ruling out active disease in infants, and BCG vaccines must be given. So key points in my presentation: all children with HIV have to be screened for TB each and every visit. Of course, you have to use a clinical equipment to rule out the other causes. Force into screening to be done. CVNet is the preferred investigation tool for, and you have to collect the sample as many ways as possible. Daily antitubercular drugs to be given with the family, and family will be the observer. Fixed dose combination is there. Appropriate ARV drug to be prescribed as per NACO guideline after 2 weeks to within 2 months of ART initiation, which is still running the guideline. Thank you for patient sharing. If you have any queries, so I'll stop sharing. It's over to
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Upasana.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This is such an excellent talk. I think we are indeed fortunate. We had Dr. Kalpana Datta for this talk. She has clarified each and every doubt in this small period, and also shared her personal experience, X-rays, which were such a gold mine of information and knowledge for us. Does anybody from the house want to ask her any question? I can see one in the chat, in which, ma'am, they are asking how long is BCG effective in a child? Isn't that right, Radha?
Yes, yes, okay. BCG vaccine is effective actually by Government of India. It said that normal which HIV negative patients you can give up to 1 year, and Indian Academy of Pediatrics says it can give up to 5 years. And of course we'll see, but in HIV patient we say give in a newborn period. And effectivity, we said effectivity is the studies, there are lots of studies that said long-term effect is not there. And it can only, there are 30 to 40% chances of decrease the severity of the disease. So it can contain, there may not be, chances of meningitis and disseminated tuberculosis, miliary mottling will be less, but you can't say no. No 100% effective, but there is some effectivity is there. One thing I would like to share. Yes.
Hanji, ma'am, please.
For this particular patient, which it was presented, I have written on my recommendation because there are 2 things is missing, which I would like to say to all the doctors over here. You must mention the severe acute malnutrition is there or not, because severe acute malnutrition is itself a medical emergency. You said the babies died in the 2 to 3 days after the admission, and that may be due to malnutrition, because in the first week of malnutrition, commonest cause of death is after hospital admission is the hypothermia and hypoglycemia. Third is the infection. So severe SAM patient must be stabilized. It takes 7 days time to be stabilized. Then you will start the nutritional therapy, and then you start the ART or ATT, whatever drug you want to give first. But you have to stabilize within first 7 days. So that is missing. It was there. It is not mentioned whether baby is having severe malnutrition, not severe acute malnutrition or not. I'm not talking about severe chronic malnutrition, severe acute malnutrition. And the criteria are persistent edema, both bilateral pedal edema. If you press for 10 seconds on the dorsum of the baby, it will there will be a depression. So bilateral pedal edema of nutritional origin or and कोई एक रहने से ही चलेगा. 6 months के above, then we look for the mid arm, upper arm circumference. 6 months के नीचे we won't measure the upper arm circumference. ये 11.5 centimeter के नीचे है. और weight for height, mind it, not weight for age or height for age. Weight for height, that is called wasting, is less than -3 standard deviation. ये कोई भी रहने से it is acute severe malnutrition and a very dangerous thing, and baby can die. It's quite high mortality, 30% mortality as compared to other malnutrition, and within the first week of life. So this patient had, he said, 4 kg, 5 years old. That means baby has a severe malnutrition, and if it's edema and all that, the acute malnutrition. Second point was not mentioned in the history was the developmental milestones. So I said a developmentally normal query, because it should mention the developmental milestone was normal or delayed, because it is expected in this particular patient, at least there's a gross motor, means because the weight is so low, there might be some delay in the developmental milestones. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This was an excellent addition, value addition to the talk. And I think, Dr. Amreshwar, I hope all your doubts are cleared now. Do I need to ask?
Cleared, madam. Madam, cleared, madam. Doubts are cleared.
I know you have to go, ma'am. आप जाइए, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
It was an
Thank you for
excellent
that.
talk.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.